you have uncontrolled diabetes, your chance of getting a worse outcome is much more. Therefore, what's the moral of the story? Keep your diabetes under control.
We're joined here with Dr. V. Mohan, Chairman and Chief of Diabetology of Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialty Center, which is one of the largest healthcare groups in Asia devoted to the treatment of diabetes and its complications. So thank you so much for joining the Quint, sir.
I rate your channel very high, and so it's a great pleasure. More than the COVID itself, it's the fear of COVID which is killing people, the hardships due to COVID which they are going through. If you look at the actual number of cases and the actual number of deaths in India, it's far lower than many other countries.
So the findings of COVID-19's deaths points towards an increased mortality in those with diabetes and vitamin D deficiencies and other complications. So could you explain how and why a person with diabetes is more vulnerable to the virus?
COVID is actually nothing but a respiratory infection, very similar to influenza, very similar to the H1N1 or the SARS or the MERS that we have had. Actually, if you look at it, the infectivity is lower with COVID compared to others. If you take others, we've had measles, smallpox, those are all, if one case gets it, 20 will get it. There are a set of people who are very vulnerable to anything. Okay. These are people who are older. In India, in other countries above 80, in our countries above 60, because our lifespan is only 67 for males and 69 for females. Uncontrolled diabetes. See, when you have high sugar, it's like a glucose medium for bacteria to grow, either in the blood or in the urine or anywhere, on the lungs or anywhere. And they have other comorbidities. They may have asthma, they may have chronic pulmonary disease, or they may have hypertension, heart disease. Once you have these, many of them have kidney disease, liver disease, and so on. Because of their age, they're sick people. Now, one more insult comes in, like a COVID. That's the last straw on the camel's back, as they say. If you look at the statistics of how many people in India, for example, have got this disease, and what is your chance or my chance of getting COVID, it is 0.000, some 4 zeros you'll have to add, and the fifth decimal point only you'll get. And what is your chance of dying? You have to add 6 zeros, 0.0000006 zeros, and then get 1. So that is your chance of dying. So what does it indirectly mean? 99.99999999% you're not going to die due to COVID. It may take another month or so, maybe whole of June it will be there. By July it will start flattening. By August, September it's kind of gone.
Is there any understanding of increased immunity for Indians towards this virus compared to other countries?
It's a very good question, and the frank answer is we don't know. So it could very well be that in India we are exposed to so many things that are happening that it could be less. That's the first point. Second point is, India is a very young country. So if you look at the age group, the demography of our population, 50% of our people are below 25 years of age. 50%. Okay. So that means half the population is very young at an age where their immunity is very high and they're very unlikely to get COVID and all that. Maybe the virus which has come to us in India could be slightly different. The virus keeps on mutating. So maybe that virus has slightly lower death rates, the one which is in India, compared to the ones which went to other places. It's a matter of developing herd immunity, because the only way the thing will finally go away is when a certain percentage of the population gets infected. The numbers vary. Some say it's 60%, some say even 30% of the population gets it, herd immunity has come. And the infected cases, most of them don't even know that they have it. 2 days ago, on one man, one jackfruit fell on his head. He was walking in Kerala. Jackfruit fell on his head. He got a head injury because of jackfruit. They went to the hospital. They tested him for COVID. He was positive. Now, what has jackfruit to do with him? Here is a man walking about. And so that shows how asymptomatic it is.
So usually people stay outdoors for a long time. They are exposed to the sun. And now with the COVID lockdown, all our activities are happening indoors.
We just published a paper in the British Journal of Nutrition just 2 weeks ago. The 1,500 people we studied in Chennai, random sample. And what we found was 55% of the population of Chennai had vitamin D deficiency. In diabetic people, it was 63%. And among obese people, it was
Okay.
80% of the population who had vitamin D deficiency. So it's as common. So if you have fatty fish, for example, egg
Mm.
yolk, okay, these have vitamin D. Cod liver oil has vitamin D. Beef liver has vitamin D. So these kind of things will give vitamin D. But how do you get for a vegetarian? Mushrooms have vitamin D. Some of the fortified food, some of the milk is fortified. Okay, cheese can give you something. If yogurt is fortified, there's a small supplement, a small sachet, 60,000 units. It's only like quarter teaspoon. Just dissolve it in milk. Say 4 weeks, once a week you have to take it, and 4 times you take it in a month, 4 Sundays or something. You take it, your vitamin D is already come to normal. Then there's a 2,000 international unit, that is 60,000. There's a small dose 2,000 unit one. We just take it every day. It's very unlikely it will produce any side effect, but nobody should take it without asking their doctor. If you have vitamin D deficiency, you are the one who does badly, just like the person with diabetes.
Is it okay to go out for walks wearing masks? Is it all right to step out in your neighborhood?
Just wait for some more time, because now is the time after lockdown, everybody is coming out. And if you have a facility to say walk on your terrace, if you have a treadmill, if you can do indoor exercise, if you can do yoga, you can do dancing, or you can do some spot jogging. If you have on your phone, if you have a step counter and you're able to get 10,000 steps a day by walking. Whenever, one simple thing I tell people is, whenever you're getting a call, walk and take the call.
So during this lockdown, should blood glucose levels also be checked more frequently than usual, sir?
Absolutely. Because, otherwise, how do you know whether the sugar is under control or not? Most people with diabetes, when they stay at home, two or three things happen. One, you already said, exercise levels may go down. The other thing which happens is people tend to snack when they're at home. So, with all these risk factors, at least if you have diabetes, check your sugars. And then, if you find that your sugar levels are not controlled, then you can increase the frequency of your testing. And if your sugars are not under control, today telemedicine is being offered by many, many diabetologists, physicians. See, we have a small patch, small, something like the ring you're wearing, the earring you're wearing. It's about that size. If you just stick it on your arm, okay, this sensor has a small hair-like sensor attached to it, and it will continuously record the blood glucose levels on a continuous basis. It will give you up to 100 blood sugars in a day.
So should people with diabetes be stocking up on insulin?
Suppose there is a insulin dependent diabetic patient, type 1 we call it. You will die if you don't take insulin. Simple, period. You don't take insulin for one day, you'll go into coma and you can die. Keep 2-3 months stock. You never know. Suppose a shortage comes for unexpected, you can't die due to that.
So young people are also affected by type 1 diabetes, and there is also diabetes of young age. So what is your advice to them during the COVID situation? Because we've seen more severe form of COVID in diabetes and immune suppressed people.
And in India, we have not heard too many. In fact, many countries we have not heard too many type 1s getting it. In the US, Italy, Spain, Germany. So I used to say, see, they are young and they are taking insulin and their immunity is very strong. They don't have other comorbidities. Usually they won't have hypertension and they are okay, they'll find. 4 or 5 days ago, big report from the UK, from NHS. They looked at the entire NHS. And what they are saying is they are finding death rate more among their type 1 diabetic than the type 2 diabetic. So I don't think we can take anything for granted. It's better that everybody controls their diabetes. And type 1 patients definitely should do this continuous glucose monitoring and more monitoring, because we don't know, low sugars also can be dangerous, high sugars can also be dangerous.
But what is the best workout that you would recommend for a diabetes patient?
One is what is called as aerobic exercise. Now, this can be walking, swimming, jogging, running, dancing, anything which there is movement from one place to another. Number two, you need resistance training. Now, resistance training is what you do with small weights, not big 100 kilo weight. No, you take 2 kg weight, 4 kg weight like a dumbbell and keep doing exercises for your biceps, for your triceps, okay, for your back. You can do like that, you can lift it, you can do like this. and do it about 20 times, different repetitions of movement. Once your muscle builds up, your immunity is automatically ensured. And the third is what is called as flexibility. Flexibility is you must be able to stand on one leg, lift the other leg, and stand without falling. But pranayama is also very important. Just sit down at the end of it, 5 minutes, take deep breath out, deep breath out. Not only that, you grow younger. There's actually reverse aging. You can reverse your diabetes, reverse age, look younger. Your muscles will look younger, your brain will be younger, your heart will be younger. So it's definitely worth doing it.
How can one boost their immunity? And also, if you could give examples of an Indian balanced diet.
Number one, diet. So you asked about diet, we'll talk about diet here itself. In the diet, you have to take more protein, okay? Because protein builds your muscle, protein builds your immunity. Carbohydrate, too much of carbohydrate, what we eat, whether it's rice or wheat or any of the other carbohydrate that we eat, what happens is it develops insulin resistance. And once you have insulin resistance, then low-grade inflammation sets in. So you can take carbohydrate, but it must be half of what you're taking normally. Double your protein intake. Take a lot of green leafy vegetables. That gives you a lot of iron, vitamin B12, all that it will give you. Vitamin C is also very good because it will give you, you can take it from fruits, from amla, gooseberry, oranges, kiwi fruit. All these are very rich in broccoli. All these will give you a lot of vitamin C. The safflower oil, safflola, sunola, corn oil, these will come under the next. Now, of course, the saturated fats are not good. Any nuts are good. Seeds, pumpkin seeds to chia seeds to any seeds that you take also gives you a lot of monounsaturated fat. So this is how the diet. In a plate that you take thali, half the plate vegetables, quarter plate protein. For non-vegetarians, can be fish, chicken, white of the egg, lean meat like that. Or for vegetarians, it can be Bengal gram, green gram, black gram, soya, mushroom, all these things. And a quarter plate only for rice or chapati. You should sleep on time. You should sleep enough. Okay. When I say enough, 6 to 8 hours is what is recommended by most studies. Actually, more than 8 hours also is not good. Don't keep on watching TV until 3 o'clock in the morning and say, now I'll sleep 6 hours after that. Your chronobiology is completely gone. Okay. Once your chronobiology is gone, the body doesn't know it's day, night, what you're doing the night, you're doing the day, night, immunity gone. Because immunity building needs proper sleep, proper habits. Okay. So that's
and
why
immediately your meals also don't happen at the right time. They also get scattered.
That's why in school we were taught early to bed and early to rise makes us healthy, wealthy, and wise.
So during this time, can you give advice to people to stay home, stay safe?
You have to take a risk and then get on with your life. Anyway, your risk is much low. If you're getting it is low. If you get it, your recovery is going to be very high. Okay, 1 in a million within that something may happen. But how do you know like that jackfruit falling on you? It won't fall on you anyway. So anything can happen. Social distancing for another 6 months should continue minimum. Okay, mask wearing another 6 months should continue. Hand washing should continue. Avoid parties, this, that, unnecessary travel. If you don't need to actually travel somewhere, and you can do it through video conference, Skype, whatever, Zoom, do it. Stay safe, but don't get paranoid. Don't keep on reading Corona news. Morning, afternoon, evening, Corona news. No other news in the world is there. The one virus which has come has become the only news in the world. And remember, this too shall pass. Movies are going to be made. Books are going to be written, and there's a lot of things about COVID going to come. And we can say we can tell our grandchildren that we lived through these times, and then we
Yes, we'll be part of history. Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. Thank you for joining the Quint. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Hope to see you soon in person someday.
Thank you.